Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of resting. And I came across this while studying and cramming in college, and it really allowed me to maximize the amount of information, amount of work I could do, amount of quality work I could do, and helped me maintain an absurdly high GPA of 3.98. It is such a helpful thing to take rests I do it every 3 hours. I take a 20-minute rest and I just lie down on a beanbag. I literally do nothing. No phone, because if you're on your phone, your body's resting, your mind isn't. No distractions. I literally just focus on my body, focus on my breathing. Sometimes I'll even just focus on how my head feels, and you feel like these areas of stress in your own brain relaxing. And how I understand it is through doing certain repetitive activities that we have in our modern era, where someone has a job of engineering and they're not just doing farm work where they do different tasks throughout the day. When you have a very specific area of focus that you're doing, you're using the same neurons, and those same neurons use chemicals in the brain, and the byproducts of those chemicals build up in certain regions that are being used, and they aren't allowed to fully get flushed out. And I'm not sure about the science of that explanation, but that's how it feels in my own brain, and that's how I've come to understand it. And if you focus on it yourself, you'll also understand that too. But today we're going to be reacting to Andrew Huberman talk about this and see what he thinks of it. Give me a second. I'm back in with earbuds to stop any echo from the recording, but without any further ado.
A question I often get is, how long should I try to focus? Well, the research literature point to the key importance of so-called ultradian cycles. You've all probably heard of circadian cycles or circadian biology. Circa, the day, circadian, is about 24-hour cycle. Well, our brain and body operate within that day, or within each and every day, I should say, with 90-minute ultradian cycles. So my suggestion would be, anytime you're going to sit down and try and focus, you're going to try and do a focused bout of physical exercise or skill learning or musical learning, or maybe you're even just having a conversation. Maybe you're a therapist or you're attending therapy or a class. How long should it be? And the ideal duration is about 90 minutes. Not exactly 90 minutes, but we can reliably say.
With that, I don't know necessarily about the cycle of it. Granted, the 3-hour period I talk about is 2 90-minute cycles, and I'm sure it differs for everyone, but there is definitely a huge benefit towards chunking out your time, because you do face task switching penalty, which is like the first 5 to 10 minutes that you start doing something where it takes you a little while to catch up on what you're doing, remember what you have done, and get back into the flow of it.
Say 90 minutes or less. Okay, it doesn't have to be the full 90 minutes, but trying to push yourself to be able to drop into 2 hours of focus or 3 hours of focus, while possible, is not really in line with what we know about the underlying biology. Everything from our sleep states, or the different stages of sleep, and our waking states is divided into these 90-minute cycles, or so-called ultradian cycles. So what I like to do is set a timer for 90 minutes. I acknowledge and accept the fact that under most conditions, unless I'm really pressed for a deadline and I'm optimally caffeinated, etc., the first 5 to 10 minutes of that 90 minutes are a transition time. It's like the warm-up for focus, but I do include it in that 90 minutes. And then I really try and drop into doing focused mental work or learning of some sort. Again, this could be physical as well, motor skill learning, or I think we're running or lifting weights, etc., and really try and drop into that across the full 90 minutes. Again, accepting the fact, okay, it's not just an idea, the fact that occasionally our focus will flicker. It will jump out of focus, and then a big part of being able to focus is to go back to focusing. The way I'd like.
With that being said, unless you have a pressing deadline and you don't have any other choice, if you only have 60 minutes to do something or 20 minutes to do something, I do like to generally fill that time with tasks that don't require me to get into deep focus, where I can, do the dishwasher, do some chores on the house, clean my room, and things that are shorter in duration, need to get done, but don't necessarily need to get done right then. I kind of do those so that those tasks down the road don't build up to something that interrupts me while I'm in these deeper areas of focus.
You to conceptualize this perhaps is that arrowhead suddenly getting very, very broad, that you're focusing on many things, or that arrow shifts to a different location in the room. The key is to be able to shift it back and to narrow it once again. And that's an active process.
Meditation, focusing on your breath, bringing your focus back to your breath. Your mind will wander, but when you bring it back to your breathing, you're kind of practicing the ability to do that, and you'll find it easier to implement that in other areas of your life where you'll drift and then you bring your focus back to where you actually should be or where you want to have it.
So much so that it requires a lot of metabolic energy. Your brain is the chief consumer of metabolic energy. The calories that you consume is so-called basal metabolic rate. Most of that isn't related to movement or heartbeat or breathing. It's related to brain function. Your brain is a glutton with respect to caloric need. So understand that at the end of 90 minutes, or maybe even after 45 minutes, you might feel rather tired or even exhausted. And it's very important that after a bout of focus, that you take at least 10 minutes, and ideally as long as 30 minutes, and go through what I call deliberate defocus. You really want to focus on somewhat menial tasks or things that really don't require a ton of your concentration.
I would even take it one step further, and it might be due to the fact that I do 3-hour gaps and then 20-minute breaks. I will literally lie down on a beanbag. I always like putting a fan on my face because I like the feeling. But I'll lie down and I kind of just focus on how the fan feels, my body relaxing, my breathing, and sometimes my brain, and like you just feel like de-stressed, like you feel a lack of stress in your brain eventually. Like you feel these areas of stress or tightness releasing, and I always make sure to set a timer for when I do this because sometimes I will fall asleep, or I mean not really asleep, but I'll enter a really deep set of relaxation where if I didn't have a timer at the end of that 20 minutes, I would wind up falling asleep. Oh, which also plays back into why I do it for 20 minutes, because that's the ideal time for napping in order to not build up sleep momentum. So if you are actually tired, taking a 20-minute nap will also give you some of these benefits. And even if you're really tired and you wake up or the timer goes off and you're still tired, I'll set another 20-minute timer and I'll do it again instead of necessarily allowing my body to take an hour-long nap. Because when you said earlier, body works in 90-minute cycles. In order to get a full sleep cycle in, it's 90 minutes. And if you do not get that in, you're going to wake up feeling worse off than if you hadn't gotten it at all, depending on necessarily how your body's feeling. But this is usually how it goes, and I'm basing this off of a NASA study for how long astronauts should take naps for cognitive function. With that said, I dislike taking naps during the day because it messes up my ability to sleep at night and fall asleep at the time I want to fall asleep at. So if I'm really tired, I will take a series of 3 20-minute rest breaks where my alarm goes off, and then I kind of get up a little bit, lie back down, set another 20-minute timer, and that way I don't allow myself to get deep into sleep, and I can stay more alert, and it's more of a cognitive benefit that you get rather than if you were to have an actual sleep cycle where you'd also get physical benefits from it too.
This is starting to become a little bit of a movement out there in the kind of pop psychology and optimization world, this idea of not looking at your phone as you walk down the hall to the bathroom, certainly not looking at your phone in the bathroom. And I should mention, by the way, this is a particular annoyance of mine. Have you noticed that wait times for restrooms in public places has increased substantially in the last 10 years? The reason for that is not digestive, okay? It's not the gut microbiome. I mean, it might be the gut microbiome, but chances are it's because people are on their phones in the bathroom. So you're doing yourself and everybody else a favor by staying off your phone in the restroom.
One thing I'll note is a lot of the time when you feel the urge to look at your phone, it's due to a feeling of tiredness. It's due to the craving of stimulation and dopamine that you can get from your phone. And while you might get that through turning to your phone, you're not going to get, you'd get a lot more energy if you just relaxed without it, because it stimulates your brain, and your brain is still going on and firing the neurons a lot more than if you just relax without it.
I'm staying off your phone while walking down the hall. Try and give yourself some time to deliberately decompress, to let your mental states idle, to not be focused on any one thing. That period of idling is essential for your ability to focus, much in the same way that rest between sets of resistance training or rest between exercise is vital to being able to focus and perform during the actual sets or during the actual bouts of running or cycling or whatever your particular form of exercise might be. So deliberate decompression is key. And I know this is hard because we're all being drawn in by the incredible, rich array of sensory information available on our phones and other devices. But I can't emphasize this enough. Our ability to focus is not just related to what happens during the entry and movement through those focus bouts, but after those focus bouts, we really need to deliberately decompress. And of course, the ultimate decompress, the time in which we are not directing our thinking and our action, is during sleep. And so it's no wonder, or I should say it holds together logically, that that deep, long-lasting duration of not controlling where our mind is at is in fact the ultimate form of restoration, even if we have.
I like how you said not controlling where your mind is at. So I kind of allow it to wander. Sometimes I'm literally just noticing thoughts, like there are cars driving by, I'm sitting on a cliff, where I'm not letting myself get caught up in them, but I'll just let my mind drift through. Sometimes I'm just focusing on my head and feeling how my body feels. Sometimes, like, you just allow your mind to go where it wants to go and relax and breathe. And I find having a fan on you helps a lot with this. Maybe using a heat pad too. Listening to music, audiobooks, anything that will stimulate your mind and stop it from freely associating and going where it wants to go will negatively affect this and stop you from getting a lot of the benefits of it.
Very intense dreams. So take that period after each 90-minute or less focus bout, right? Remember, those focus bouts don't have to be full 90 minutes. Let's say you do 45 minutes of work. You're just done with it. Set it down and go do something for maybe 5, 10, maybe even 30 minutes that is functional for your day, right? Just not just walking around in circles or staring up at the sky, although if you can do that, do that. But most of us have other things to do, but do things that are rather automatic or reflexive for you, and try not to do any focused reading. Try not to bring your vision into a tight location, such as your phone, and try and deliberately decompress, because that will allow you to drop into intense bouts of focus again, repeatedly and repeatedly throughout the day.
Okay, so with that, I would say at least one of those breaks you take every day should be lying down, doing nothing, allowing your mind to wander. If you want to take other breaks and after that one and have sessions where you do automatic tasks, empty the dishwasher, so on, chores that you do in your sleep, then do that. But at least take one that is lying down, sitting in a chair, like completely relaxed, so that you can contrast the two between each other, because I do believe doing nothing during that time is so much more beneficial than, as he said, doing chores, doing other tasks. But a lot of people are so busy that they won't allow themselves to have that period of rest because they think of it as a luxury. It is not a luxury. This will literally help you operate at such a higher level that it is insane. I don't really take any caffeine besides green tea. This has allowed me to naturally optimize my brain and get so much more use out of it than what I used to do when I would chug a Bang energy drink every morning when I woke up, and I'd go through like another one during lunch and another one later in the day, and my brain would crash and feel like crap at night. Like, doing this 20-minute intervals, you can sleep at night. It will not interfere with that. Make sure you set the alarm so you don't fall asleep, because falling asleep can affect your ability to rest and fall asleep at the normal time. You really just feel more even, more focused, and you have none of the crashes of coffee, none of those negative side effects. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't do that. Like, I'm at work. Sit at your desk, look like just upright, facing your computer screen, hopefully, like, I don't know, someone can't look over your computer screen and see it, but like just facing your computer screen, being like this, and have a fan like blowing in your face, and just sit there for 20 minutes. Like, I don't know, if you have to, go sit on the toilet for 20 minutes. Like, go sit in your car for 20 minutes. This is such an important thing. Like, I don't know, go pretend that you're a smoker now and go out and sit on a bench for 20 minutes. Like, literally find a way, and do not give up on this through a lack of creativity on your own part, but find a way in order to take these breaks so that you can output more, do more, think clearer without the negative effects of taking too many stimulants. And a lot of people are like, well, what about time theft? It is not time theft. This is literally something that will benefit your employer, it will benefit you. Google and some other companies have these napping pods that the employees can go into, and this is such a big thing that later on, for my own supplement company, when we have more employees besides my brother and I, is literally going to be something that we implement, that every 3 hours you have to take a 20-minute break, because of the benefits mentally to and your ability to work more. Like, I cannot oversell how good this is for you. Peace out.